Hey, guys. My name is Paula Sun, but you can call me the Change Navigator. I mean, that's why you clicked on the podcast because of the name, right? All right, cool. I want to begin by saying welcome to my new listeners and welcome back to the Faithful Navigators. As you all already know, we've been doing something a little bit differently in season two. Season two, I decided to focus on interviewing ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. And on this segment, we have a very special guest. She is near and dear to my heart. I call her, well, Facebook world knows her as Shulie Gibb. Everybody, welcome Shulie Gibb.
Hello.
All right, we're so happy to have Shulie Gibb, and I want to read just a little bit of her bio. Shulie is the founder and principal therapist for the Speech and Voice Care Center of Houston and the facilitator of its nonprofit arm Speak Success. She has more than 18 years of professional experience in the field of speech pathology, specializing in adult voice and neurogenic disorders. Shulie has trained individuals all over the world to enhance their personal and professional image by improving their voice, confidence, and communication skills. Her personal mission is to help communicators share their story with confidence, freedom, and power, and to transform voice users into vocal athletes. Shulie's work compelled her to author the ebook, The Beatitudes of Speech, which gives speakers practical tips to articulate one's message and speaking from the heart. Shulie is also an experienced host and podcaster thanks to Speak It, a visual and audio program she developed and produces that features discussions where guests sound off on issues impacting society, particularly those of interest within the African American community. All right, so guys, I've read a little bit about her bio. Oh my gosh, I said bayou. Yes, we're from Louisiana, the bayou. Okay. But I read a little bit of her bio. But Shulie, tell us a little bit about the Speech and Voice Care Center. How long have you been a business owner?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Change Navigator. I'm honored to be here and considered a guest to start some conversations. But the Speech and Voice Care Center of Houston was founded in 2008. But I started out doing independent contracting probably in 2005, and it was more out of necessity as I became an instant mom and I needed extra income. I knew I wanted to have my own business, but the Speech and Voice Care Center was birthed out of independent contracting and it became official and brick and mortar in 2010.
You said an instant mom. What does that mean?
Well, my dad died of prostate cancer in 2004,
Mhm.
and I took custody of my younger siblings. That's instant mom. I did not birth them. I did not birth them. Trying to get my words out with that, but yeah, I became a mother of a 6-year-old, 9-year-old, and a 12-year-old.
Talk about
Take a
change.
deep breath with that.
Yes, that was a
Talk
huge
about change.
change. I'm sure for a single woman with no kids to go to being an instant mom. That was pretty huge. What were those feelings surrounding that as you took on that responsibility?
Fear,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, would be the biggest thing. I was compelled to do it because one, my grandmother had done it for me. My parents split up when I was about in third grade, and she was an example of sacrifice. So it felt like, I wouldn't call it an obligation, but like it was my turn. But I was scared though. I would say the overwhelming feeling was fear for that because of course I had gone to school. I had felt like I'd done everything right, but how do you learn how to be a parent? Like that was nowhere on my list. So then I would also throw in there probably at a point some frustration and a little anger. I was a little mad at my daddy, had to work through all of that and got some deliverance for it, but was very much afraid. And then at a point when I tapped into my feelings, yeah, angry.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
God.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that, moment of transparency. So I know you're over the speech and voice care and you're all things speech, right? Shulie has been known for these not words of the day. She's been known for posting about not words. Shulie, tell me about the recent addition. What do you think about the word irregardless that is now in our English language?
I don't have my pearls on. I don't have the pearls around the neck. But honestly, yeah, the dictionary's job and task, right, is to define words that we use in our language. And irregardless was added. Thank God I'm just in a different place as it relates to language, and with everything that's going on in the world, and you're learning about oppression and how language was used as a form of oppression for Black people. I'm not so upset about irregardless anymore. I won't be using it, let's be clear. But it's a, I mean, they're defining it. It's a non-standard use of the form, but if you want to say besides the point, regardless of what you think, I'm still regardless. Conversators in the dictionary also, and so is bling bling. But
Mm-hmm.
again, yeah, I don't know if that helps you. I'm in a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Still not using it, but I get why they're doing it, and to each his own.
Right, right. So
That's growth.
exactly, real growth. So because I know you were like a grammar police, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
So you're all things speech, right? But I want to talk about something else that really I was impressed with, that I thought was just like, wow. So I want to say around 2017, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I think it's 2017. You did some international travel. Um, Tell us about that and how many countries you visited and what was that like?
Yes, yes, yes. 2017 was a very big year for me. And I'll just say go. It all started with the go. I business, like you said, fast forward, I've been this mom. I started a business, and honestly, Paula, I was just worn out. I was done. I needed a reset. I was driving one day and God let me know, hey, I was going through some emotions, very upset about some things. And God let me know that I had PTSD, right? And I was like, what? I've never been to war. What the heck is going on in my life? And long story short, ended up in therapy, trying to figure out some things. And I started to change my mind about so many things. And of course, by that time, I tapped into what I call my hand to heart, where it's a form of meditation. And it's a way that you can tap in and download instant inspiration. And that's how I would kind of navigate things, bypass my head space, get into my heart space. And freedom was my word for 2016. Started my Fear to Freedom group, continuing to explore, dig in. And freedom started something within me that I have not been able to recover from, and I'm okay with that. That has been a blessing because it just came with an upset in my world. Like all things that needed to be healed seemed to be revealed, things with my family that needed to be repaired, but more than anything, my perspective about me and how I handle things as it related to my family. Anyway, so the freedom and the topsy turvy aspects of my life led me to my next word, which was a go. And I tried to figure that out. I got off of social media because I thought it meant that go off of social media. I tried to change how I did things, habits, and patterns. And then I kept hearing, put your head down, work, and then come back better than before. I just had this feeling like I just wanted to fall off the map.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of sort of did fall off the map. And anyway, and just doing my research and trying to discover what the word go meant, I discovered a program called Remote Year. I applied, I didn't tell anyone, I was accepted, and I had a decision to make. It was easy and hard at the same time because I wanted to be done with everything. I just needed a reset. Business was hard, whatever. So June of 2017, June 3rd of 2017, I took off on a trip around the world. To answer your question, I hit 10 cities. No, I'm having to think 10 countries, 12 cities, and probably ended up being about 12 countries because I did some side travel. Yeah. from Europe to Asia to Latin America.
Wow. So, what was that like? So in that time frame, like how often would you change countries or cities? How often would you change?
Every month. We spent a month in each place. I started out in Split, Croatia, and it would be somewhere around 30 days. Split, Croatia was the first stop. Budapest, Hungary, Lisbon, Portugal. That was my European tour. I managed to hit Paris while I was there. That was pretty cool. Paris for the day. And that's how I found out the Eiffel Tower closes. I thought it was open all night long, but apparently they shut it down at midnight. And then we went from there to Asia, Vietnam, Thailand, in Malaysia, and then I ended up in Peru. Spent 2 months in Argentina, y dos months in Colombia. I couldn't think of the word for month. Okay, yeah, Mexico City, and then back to Houston.
Wow. So if I can interject personally, you encouraged me to take a trip by myself back in 2018, and I was in America. I didn't go. I didn't even go out of the country, and I know how I felt like the first day landing and adjusting to being in a totally different place. With no one there that I knew, nobody that I knew. And it was just like, okay, you're going to adapt and either you're going to sink or swim. Are you going to stay in your room all day or are you going to get out and tour? So for me, it takes about a day for me to just get comfortable with everything. So how did you adjust moving every month? Like what was your adjustment like?
I don't know if you can ever really adjust to moving every month per se. One of the things they tell you to do is pack light. That'll minister too. But pack light because you have to be able to pack up everything, throw it in that bag so that you can jump on the plane. But you just know it's something that it's just going to happen. You're leaving. I'm just trying to think about what is the best word to describe it. It was just a part of it. And it became kind of fun, I'll tell you honestly. It's like the novelty of it because you get to go to a new city, learn new cultures. But in terms of the way I developed a system for sure for how I did each city or country, I pretty much came in that first week or two, I adjusted. I was asleep. I didn't feel like I had to be like a tourist. When you go on a trip, when you're home and you're gone for the weekend, long weekend or a week, you feel like I'm a tourist. I got to get out of this room. I want to see everything there is to see because I have a limited time. I had to get out of that mode. And what God taught me to do during this process is to rest. So I would find my time. I would get in there. We would usually explore, walk around, figure out the food. And we always had just like a meeting with the group that we were in, but I would just take time to rest. And then I would treat maybe the first week or two like a tourist and try to see all of the sites. And then by the end, the last 2 weeks in that month, I would try to live like a native and I wanted to go to the markets they went to. I wanted to just experience life as much as possible the way the natives would. And yeah, and then you have to pack up all your stuff and the clothes. I was good on the clothes. I had a pair of Tevas. I started out with some heels. Those came back home, and my cowboy boots because I love them. Those had to come back to Houston because it didn't work. The best thing that I don't know. I benefited most from this little pair of Tevas that I found. These are some little sandals, and so that was it. In my products, I had to have my hair products.
Right. So, what did you learn during this time? What did you learn about the world, about people, and about yourself while you were on that journey?
About the world. The world is an amazing place. And I think through experiencing and exploring the world, you get to know God and his expansiveness. Through people, I think that one of the things that we have in common is love. Love for sure. But other things, family, no matter where you're from, wanting to be accepted, you have your fears. And I would say the overarching theme is people are more alike than they are different. And I think that would serve us in this current climate that we live in. In terms of people, Other things. People are people. I became less judgmental. I became more open minded. I really had a chance to explore how I felt about things from religion to love and relationships and just who I am in the world. I'm reflecting on this stuff now. So many lessons, but more than anything, simplicity is the name of the game. I thought I had to have so much more before I left this country. I felt like I needed to have more money. I needed to have more things. And then travel taught me that simplicity was better for me. Since I returned, I realized that I'm more anxious than I ever realized. But I think it's the environment that we live in, and it's the hustle and bustle of everyday life. And I realized that alignment is key. You know, that's one of my words, that if you align, things come more easily, getting into your flow. I'm about the align over grind, and that we need rest. And I
That's pretty
function so much better.
good. That's pretty good. So let me ask you this question. What is the biggest fear that you overcame on this journey?
Biggest fear was, I would have to say, fear of one, traveling solo, for sure. I didn't like to travel solo, and the thought of traveling out of the country alone was a big fear. But in terms of life in general, I would say fear of not being perfect. And that was one of those things where I felt like I was very image conscious before. And I still, you like to look cute, you like to have things together, you like your life to be a certain way. But I was a perfectionist, and I didn't realize how much it was holding me back and limiting me in certain areas. And I recently heard a talk, and they said that if you are worried about perfection, that you are actually hiding. And I was like, wow, that's
Mm,
good. So
mm.
yeah, the fear of not being perfect, which means my hair wasn't always perfect. I still had to have my hair products. I walked around, I would say dusty and musty certain days, because if you're hot, the AC situation is not the same. We're touring, we're walking miles to go places. And I was so content, Paula. I was in a place of peace. Like once I adjusted and just got over the shock of not being home and not expecting it to be like home, it was just the hugest blessing in my life. And I no makeup. I always have my eyebrows on, but no makeup, none of the things, not any of the comforts. And I just felt so much better. I felt relieved, and I felt like I was exactly where God wanted me to be.
That is beautiful. I can actually feel like the peace and the tranquility just talking to you about this journey. Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking to Shulie Gibb of the Speech and Voice Care Center of Houston. But Shulie, you also started a group on Facebook called Fear to Freedom. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You started this group before your journey. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So you started this group before your journey. Tell the navigators what you want people to take away from that group. Like, how can that group impact their lives?
Well, Fear to Freedom, like you said, it started out of my own personal mission, right? I felt stagnant. I wasn't happy. I am a purpose seeker. I'm a lover of life, but I felt like things I'd encountered, sacrifices I made, that I was depleted. And when God spoke to me about the word freedom, I pretty much vowed to take people on the journey with me. So I started the group, and the group is a collective community experience where people can come and like really have a safe space to use your voice to overcome your fears, because your fear is less important than your purpose after all. Like you have things to do and things to get done in this world, and fear is one of those things that can hold us back, and we don't want to be hindered. The group is an answer. If you come into the group, it's one of those things where there's freedom in that. Everything around it is, it's positive, it's motivating. We share memes. I might jump on a live. It's nothing that's seriously structured, but whenever I feel so moved, I'll jump on with the word. But yeah, it's a place where you can come and be free.
I love it. I love it. So, since you've experienced this international travel, how difficult is it to sit still here in the US when you've experienced so much in the world?
Child, I threaten to leave at least once a month. It is very hard to sit still. My life, of course, I have my Ivan, and I'm back in business and
Who
doing
is
things.
Ivan?
And oh, yes, sorry. My Ivan, the pup. I have a miniature schnauzer named Ivan, and he's an elder now, and he runs my life
Mm-hmm.
at this point. But he's my furry companion,
Mm-hmm.
if you will. But my life requires me to be more still. And then, of course, with things that are going on in the world, you can't just move about the cabin. But yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
I hear you. So, what's the next place you want to travel and why?
Ghana.
Hmm.
That was easy. That was the easiest. I didn't even have to say on that one. Ghana. Ghana has been in my spirit since I returned. And I don't always talk about it, but it's I'll think about it and it'll go away. I'll get busy and say, I want to travel here. And then my mind always goes back to Ghana. I feel like there's something for me there. I'm not sure what it is, but I need to make my way.
Gotcha. Gotcha. We are approaching the holiday season. As a matter of fact, Christmas is in a couple of days. So, what advice would you give to navigators who may be feeling a little bit anxiety or fear surrounding the holidays?
Mm. Fear and anxiety around the holidays typically comes from things that we want. And I think it could be a sense of loneliness. I've experienced this as a single person. This is a time where you can focus on what you don't have versus what you do have in terms of love, and in terms of being a believer. We know and we've been taught in the Christian faith that Jesus is the reason for the season, but yet we get caught up in worldly things. I would say refocus. Remember that this is a time for healing, giving, overall joyous time for love. And also, I'm learning so much more about the culture scape. We've learned that we do this for Christmas. We get together with our family, we buy presents, we do things. But who said it? It's all an illusion. Who told you you had to do that other than that's what you did in your family? That was a tradition. Don't be afraid to make new traditions for yourself. Always tap into the spiritual side. Figure out what you can do to give and be a blessing to others during this time. And you would be very much surprised. Well, you can always take a trip too. But again, just change. You can feel free to change the definition of what it means of how you celebrate the holiday season.
That's pretty good. Change the definition of what it means. I like that. I like that. Um, what? So you were actually out of the country for Christmas in 2017.
Yes,
Do
I
you
was in
remember?
Argentina.
Do you remember what your Christmas looked like then?
Yes, my Christmas was I was in Argentina, Buenos Aires. My fake accent is popping right now. It was an interesting time because I was thinking about Christmases past. And this is when I had to change the definition of what that means to me to celebrate the holidays. Even though I was going through challenges with the family and I'd had a couple of Christmases that I actually spent alone, I didn't spend them with my family. And Christmas was kind of a sad time because I was going through some things. And then when I was away, I found myself thinking about family and the importance of it, of like they might be doing this during that time. And I had to just be okay. I had to have this moment. But it was once I got over myself and remember, like, child, you here for a reason. You are being renewed. This is a rebirth. And then we got together, the group that I was a part of. We all kind of had our own apartments and spaces, but we had a group dinner. And it was really, really nice. And some people went out and played soccer after we had our dinner, but we did the dinner, we had fun, we laughed, we listened to music. Everybody brought something from their tradition. You cooked the dish or whatever. And I'm trying to think. After that, I just watched Christmas movies, and then some of the other girls came over and we just hung out. And it was a great time. We had fun, and that was different. Now, like you said, it's Christmas time. I was hoping that that I would be gone somewhere for this holiday season. We'll see what happens. It's not too late. I got a couple days. Maybe I can find somewhere to go. Ghana, is that you? Are you calling?
You. So you keep going back to something, some family challenges, and it's more common than we really understand or than we really know. And when you get to talking to people, you really understand that there are family challenges. What advice would you give to the navigators, to help them deal with family challenges?
I'll say this. You're right. That is a part of my story. Family challenges. It's a part of my growth story. I'll say I have a quote, and I just read it today in my coloring journal. And I'll let me see. It says, "Difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations." I think when you are experiencing family challenges, another thing I'm learning about emotions, they tell us something. And if you're feeling hurt, if you're feeling pain, even if it's fear, if it's anxiety, if it's just whatever, betrayal, that tells you something. I would dig deeper. What needs to be fixed, what needs to be healed in you, because it's not always the other people, and it can also be the other people. It might be you need to change. Back to definitions, changing definitions of a family. My friends have been like my family. I consider and I count them as family. But if you're going through challenges with your family, one, it can be a toxic situation. Just because you're a blood relative doesn't mean that you get to hurt someone. It doesn't mean that you get to take your pain out. And doesn't mean that if you're on the receiving end of the pain, that you have to just accept that. Understand that abuse is abuse, even if it comes from family. And if you need to take time to get to know yourself, you get to know yourself. And it's not always a bad thing, because you grew up in a household, you learn how to do things, you learn how to do life, but we grow up and learn how we want our lives to go. And we have a path and a journey. And sometimes it takes a season of separation for you to come into who you are, hence that beautiful destinations. Count it all joy. And if it's worth healing, I believe that God, and if you have to go through the season of separation, that God will do the work that he needs to do within the family members if they're open to it. And then you can come together and can be better, because on the other side of it, I would say going through the pandemic, well, even before the pandemic, my sisters and I started a healing process. I've had some very hard conversations and accepted some truths about myself, and just receive family members for who they are without trying to change them and make them fit how I would do things and how I would live life. But since the pandemic, I feel like we have grown together in a different way. And it's just been a blessed thing. But it took me stepping away saying, I ain't gonna do this no more. I will not do this anymore. This is hurting me. And I needed the moment to breathe and step away. If that if that helps you. Does that answer?
You answered the question. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Before we get ready to go, before we get ready to wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Shulie Gibb of the Speech and Voice Care Center of Houston, Texas. Shulie used to do this thing called Twisted Tuesday, and it was a time where you would put out tongue twisters and you would challenge your Facebook friends, your social media friends, to repeat a tongue twister 3 times. I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. Can you give us a tongue twister that we can try to go over?
Who you want a cussing tongue twister, or you want? I always go to one certain one, but you tell me, what can we do on the Change Navigation podcast?
I
Change
don't think
Navigation
I
podcast.
want you to cuss on the change navigator,
I
but
don't think I will, but do you want your Change Navigators to
oh well,
cuss?
they're free to talk however they want to talk.
Okay, okay. Let's see. I am not the pheasant plucker. I am the pheasant plucker's mate. I'm only plucking pheasants because the pheasant plucker's late.
I am not the pheasant plucker. I am only the pheasant plucker's mate. I am
I'm
only
only
plucking
plucking pheasant.
feathers because the pleasant flucker.
Oh, beep.
Beep.
Maybe we
It's
need to do
late.
another one. How about order an Arnold Palmer?
I love it. Order an Arnold Palmer. Order an Arnold Palmer. Order an Arnold Palmer. Yay, I did it.
Yes.
That's funny. So,
Forgive me.
oh, it's okay. No, it was my fault. You didn't do it. I did it. So, as we get ready to go, Shulie, could you give us a message? Give the change navigators a message, the core of your being that you really want to leave with them.
Try Jesus. Not me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I like acronyms and sequences of things. I would say alignment. I would call it the A's. Alignment over grind any and every day. When you align with God's will and purpose for your life, things just flow so much better. And then answer. There's a question out there in the world, in this earth. God calls us to purpose because we answer a thing in someone else's life. And the third thing is ashe. It is a West African philosophy that we have the power to speak a thing into existence. And so the whole thing, Speak Success, Speak It, Theater Freedom, Speech and Voice Care Center, I feel like is centered in the ashe, the power of our words. And just remember that you can create and destroy with your words. Choose to create. Ashe.
I love it. Alignment, answer, and ashe. All right, Shulie Gibb, could you please tell the navigators how they can find you on social media?
Yes. On Instagram, you can find me at Shulie Says and at Speak It with Shulie. On Facebook, you can find me at Speak It with Shulie.
Thank you so much, guys. Shulie has a podcast and it's called Speak It. So, thank you, navigators, for tuning in. Thank you, Shulie, for being our very special guest. And until next time, navigators, keep going. Bye bye.